Mr. Milton, how are you?
Excellent. How you doing?
Oh man. Well, after freaking out with the other website messing up on us, I'm doing okay.
It's like that sometimes.
Man, I tell you. Well, I appreciate you joining us tonight, man. Joining us here on Field Street Forum Live. Uh, I'm the host, Drayton. You've been talking with Jason and I guess maybe Dustin as well. But we are certainly glad to have you join us tonight. Tell us. I guess let's just get right to it, man. We are very stoked to have your young man deciding to become a Georgia Bulldog, and tell us a little bit about that whole recruitment process and what was it that kind of made Georgia the place that you guys want to, can have him continue for the next 3 to 4 years.
All right. Well, we've been, I can say, officially on this recruiting trail since eighth grade. He received his first scholarship offer, Division I scholarship offer, January 1st of his eighth grade year. As a matter of fact, I think he was 12 years old at the time. So we've been on this trek for a while, man. And through the years, the offers just kind of piled up, and we never really buckled down or put laser focus on anybody until we probably got into his sophomore year, where he really started breaking it down. And obviously Georgia was one of the finalists with three other big schools, two other SEC and one Big Ten school. And really, each school, respectively, I'll say they were, I mean, great programs. You can't
Mhm.
fault any one of them. It was just something about the aura that was in Athens. I mean, they checked every single box, and it was just the feel, man. Like, I don't know, it was you felt energized. You felt as if the whole coaching staff, including the head coach, was 100% down to earth, like truly a player's coach, right? The position coach, Coach McGee, it really speaks for itself. Four guys
Mhm.
rushing over 1,000 yards in the last 2 years. That box pretty much, you X that box out. It's nothing to talk about in that situation. It's just, so to the academics, to the alumni network, it just everything fit. Period.
Right, right. When was y'all's first visit to Georgia? When did you first check out Athens and everything?
That would have been in April, G Day. That was our unofficial visit. That's the first time we touched down in Athens. And to be honest, once he really put his thumbprint on Athens and said, this is where I want to visit. I mean,
Mhm.
it was kind of random. It was like, wow, Georgia. We hadn't really talked about it a lot, and our oldest son played college football here in the Mountain West, so we never
Mhm.
really paid any attention to the other schools other than the ones you hear about all the time, Bama, the Clemsons, or whatever. So
Mhm.
it was kind of, okay, well, let's see what they're talking about. And oh my gosh, once we went to Athens in April, it was okay. All right, I see what you're doing.
How much did the kind of the RBU, the history of the lineage of the running back position at Georgia, how much did that play into it, if at all?
Like I said, looking at Coach McGee, and obviously I know Herschel Walker, right? I can't
Right.
say that I can't say that Kendall is familiar with Herschel Walker unless he goes back and look at YouTube films. So when we talk about old school running backs coming from Georgia, Todd Gurley, that would be the old school running back for him, right? So I mean, these 17-year-old kids, right? So,
Right.
looking at Gurley and seeing Chubb and Sony Michelle and then seeing Swift, I mean, that's pretty much the lineage that he knows. That's the RBU, what makes sense to him, and seeing the productivity that those guys had and continue to have with Swift still being there, that's what made him say, okay, I can see myself toting the rock behind that monstrous line.
Mm-hmm. And that was kind of my next question. How how much did having Coach Pittman and those stud linemen in front of him, that they'll be in front of him in the next 3 to 4 years.
Right.
Uh, that had to play a nice role into it. Seeing that playing with those guys.
I think so. What was really cool, which was really different than from any other program, is I can honestly say Coach Pittman was very, very active in the recruitment of Kendall as well, and I think that was huge. You know, as a running back or a father of a running back, I want the offensive line coach to be just as excited because I need him to protect him. And so because he knew Kendall, because he, you know, watched his film and knew tendencies and all of that type of stuff, and the simple fact that, you know, he was excited about having him potentially run behind his guys, that really was helpful, and that honestly says a lot about the camaraderie between the different positions and position coaches at the program.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Did you guys were able to make it to Notre Dame for an official, or was that?
No, we did our official in June. That's when we did our official, and
Okay.
we literally did a 24-hour turnaround. We weren't even in Athens for 24 hours, so we came strictly to watch the game and left and came right back to California.
Oh wow. Tell
Oh
us.
yeah.
We talked to a couple of folks last week. I don't know if you know some of the guys, but one of the 2021 linemen, Micah Morris from Camden County, Georgia. We talked to him last week, and just hadn't seen anything like that before. What was kind of your takeaway from the atmosphere and everything from game day? You know, obviously Georgia Notre Dame is huge, anyways, but you know, just Georgia just went all out with that game. And then what were kind of your thoughts from the Saturday game?
I mean, one word. It was just stupid. It was crazy. The atmosphere was wild. The energy was wild. Just the air. It was wild. To get your, you know, like I said, my oldest son played in the Mountain West for Fresno State, so we had an opportunity to come down and play Alabama. So, you know, that was a pretty cool experience. But I think from this vantage point to see Saturday night football in the SEC by way of the University of Georgia, done deal. It was just stupid. The the way the energy that comes from the fans, oh my gosh, Dog Nation is just something else. They've been nothing but welcoming to Kendall and the rest of the family. They've really adopted and embraced all of us to the point to where, you know, my oldest son that's playing his grad year at a school in Colorado, I mean, they're checking up on him the same way they're checking on Kendall. And my cousin that wrote Kendall's commitment song, they've adopted him to the Dog family. So to come down there in Athens and to see, okay, this stuff goes beyond social media. Like, we're walking down the street and these folks, men and women alike, know our family by name, and it was a heck of an experience. It was a heck of an experience, and for Kendall's words, Kendall said he was repeatedly reminded why he chose to be a Bulldog.
Right. That's awesome, man. Now I will say I was very happy to see in the commitment video not only becoming a Georgia Bulldog, but also a fellow Jeep. I guess that's your older son's Jeep. You guys said so.
Yes.
Uh, I love the Jeep, by the way. I got one as well back in January myself. So I'd always wanted one.
Okay.
I enjoy the old Wranglers as well. Uh, so
And that
totally
was
enjoyed that as well.
that was just by happenstance, you know. People they, you know, they see the Jeep, and of course the narratives go out and all that other kind of crap. But what they don't know is he had a convertible Mustang GT that was 2 years old, that he totaled about 2 weeks before that.
Oh no.
So that's the only reason that we purchased him a new vehicle at that point. But
Right.
he's always wanted one. You know, he just graduated with his bachelor's degree, and we said, you know what, you're a good kid, so we'll bless you with one.
There you go. That's awesome. And that's another thing that I have enjoyed seeing you on social media, kind of, you know, getting to know you a little bit. But you definitely don't shy away from speaking your mind and setting the record straight on things. Because that whole thing came out, I saw a lot of oh yeah, red and black Jeep, huh? You know, that kind of narrative going
Yeah.
on, and you quickly let everybody know
No,
that's
and
not.
you know, yeah, it's crazy because they, you know, people. Did, one thing that I am so, you can see I'm trying to keep my words right. One thing I am so glad this recruiting crap is over with, to the point to where people are so flippin' disrespectful, and
Yeah.
the way that they can say stuff about a family, the way they can say stuff about a minor child is unacceptable. I can't, as a father, I can't sit back and just let you bully my family. That's not what my role is in my household. However, you know, while I set the record straight, I'm still gonna maintain my integrity. And I think for us, it was, to me personally, because I know, you know, we work our butt off every single day to be able to provide for our family and basically have financial freedom. It's a slap in the face for somebody to infer that the only reason you can afford to do whatever you want to do is because the school has paid you off. I take offense to that. You know what I mean? So that's why I can't let stuff like that just go by the wayside.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's, you know, social media is kind of a blessing and a curse. You know, it's great to have the interaction with fans and with people, and you know, you really get to know people and for somewhat, and then but then
Yeah.
also it also gives some people, turns them into the old, you know, keyboard warrior guys, you know, and come in and try to, you know, like you say, kind of basically bully people a lot of times online. It's ridiculous.
Exactly, and that's why, you know, I stand 6'3", 285 pounds. I welcome anybody to have those same conversations with me with that same amount of passion. It,
Yeah, I was
Hey,
about to say,
hey,
let's just tell it like it is. There's a bunch of little punks behind a keyboard that wouldn't say a dadgum word to anybody's face because somebody
exactly.
got in their face and Peter Pan.
Oh
hey,
my
that
goodness.
leads me into one. Have you got a chance to meet Swift's dad? I know you get a lot of that on Twitter.
You know what? So it's interesting. We interact on social media. We've definitely had phone and text message conversations. We were trying to hook up when we were there, but I was on such a tight schedule, or we were on such a tight schedule, we didn't get a chance to meet in person. But we definitely have fostered a relationship, and that dude is a different kind of big, though, man. That's a different kind of big. Yeah, he's yoked up, man.
RV dad, you.
Oh man, and that's what's been pretty fun too. The way the fans have been having fun with, you know, Mr. Holyfield, Mr. Swift, and myself. That's been pretty fun. You know what I mean? To see the banter and all of that kind of stuff.
Oh, see, we
So
we 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 letting y'all get off the bus first.
Let us pass that eyeball test, huh?
so can you comment on how Kirby recruits family members compared to other universities? How he stacks up on how he approached y'all as a family?
One thing that I really liked about Coach Smart was, like, he's a player's coach. So, you know, younger coach, and just the way his sense of humor, the way he'll joke around, the way he'll run around and play with the kids. But when it's time to get busy, it's time to get busy, and they know where that line is. And for us, that's huge. For Kendall, that's huge. He wants a coach that's relatable, not someone that sits on the 17th floor of a building and is just a figurehead. He wants somebody that he has access to, and that can be impressionable upon him. And I'm going to tell you, one of the things that impressed Coach. Let me start over. One thing that impressed us the most with Coach Smart was something that happened when we came for our unofficial visit. You know, coming off of, and I have to say it, I have to preface it with this. We had a chance to meet Justin Fields when he was at Ohio State. Kendall spent some time with him. Matter of fact, Fields was Kendall's host. He had nothing but positive stuff to say, nothing ill to say about Georgia at all. However, you know, social media, you know, the media, I guess there was a situation there, and whatever happened, and, you know, social media ran with it. So, of course, that's going to be a concern of ours because we have limited information. So one of the things that Carl and I talked about was, hey, should we bring this up? Should we talk about it? Should we talk about what the tone is down here, this and that? And one thing she said was, you know what? Don't bring it up because they'll bring up whatever they think is important. And I said, you know what? You're right. That's fair. And I remember us sitting inside the recruiting lounge, actually not the recruiting lounge, but one of the rooms overlooking the indoor practice field and talking to Coach Smart. And he actually brought up the diversity and inclusion that's down at Georgia, how they handle things, how they look at it, just the systems that they have in place to help mitigate through that type of stuff. I was really impressed with that because of the simple fact, here we are, this black family coming from California, sending our son down to the old racist South, quote unquote, right? But the simple fact that it was important enough for him to let us know that, hey man, it's not like that. It's far from the truth of what it's like down here. You can feel comfortable. You can ask around. You can see. You can talk to these kids. For us, that was huge because that's the only program specifically in the South that addressed that. So that right there was a big thing for us.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. And you had a good point too. Again, going back to the social media thing about, you know, with the field situation, if it was and I had kind of said this as well in discussions about that whole scenario, but if the family truly felt unsafe, I guess you could say, why would they send their daughter to the same exact school, you know?
Right.
So,
and
yeah.
And after I don't know if you probably saw the post that I did tweet out about that, and I actually had an opportunity to talk to Pablo, Justin's dad. He reached out to me, and we had a really good conversation. And I won't disclose a lot of what we talked about, but what I can tell you is that's a really good family. Their head is on straight, and I think her name is Jaden. Jaden is having a heck of a time down there at Georgia. She's enjoying herself. She's enjoying her teammates, enjoying the coaching. And, you know, the family is more than comfortable with her being down there.
Right. Talking with Chris Milton, father of Kendall Milton, Georgia Bulldog commit, running back in for 2020. Here on Field Street Forum Live. How is Kendall's high school season going?
So Kendall will actually, he's preparing to play his second game of the season. Our opening week, we opened against Narbonne, which is a national powerhouse, and he took close to 30 reps that game. And he had a busy off season. He didn't get a lot of rest, and so it was a bad sprain, slight tear in his quad, and it's been about 5.5, 6 weeks. He's 100% healthy, and he's preparing to take the field tomorrow night. He's rested, he's healthy, he's strong, he hasn't missed a step, he's feeling good, and he's hungry. So he'll be ready to play his second game of the season tomorrow night.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I thought tomorrow night was his first game back. I couldn't remember if it was tomorrow or next week.
Yeah, tomorrow night, 7:00 our time.
Nice. Let's see. What, you said he got his first, I guess offer back in 8th grade. When did you first feel like, he had the possibility of, becoming one of the top running backs in the country, that kind of, level ability? When did it first kind of say, hey, I mean, because you obviously, your older son is playing Division I football already as well. So, it was kind of both of them. When did you kind of see that, kind of athleticism and ability kicking in?
So if I'm going to be 100% honest, I never looked at it as if he could be one of the best in the country. That was never a stretch goal for ours. Through the process, because we're a fairly humble family, man, and we knew that Kendall was good, because we see what he'd do on the youth football field, junior high field, and all of that. So we knew he was good. Our stretch goal was to get college paid for.
Right.
That's what the goal was. Right. But all of a sudden, it took off. And he's being mentioned in conversations about, being the best in the nation or top percentage in the nation and all of that. And these coaches will tell you, Coach McGee will tell you, I asked him a couple times, like, bro, like, for real, what do you see in Kendall? Like, do you honestly, truly feel like he's an SEC back? Because I'm dad. I look at it from this point that this is just my baby boy who's pretty good at football. I don't see what you guys see. I see a pretty good athlete, but I don't see what you see. So I think it never got to the point to where we said, you know what, yep, he's going to be the best in the country, or we never got to that point. I don't think even now we look at it like that. You know what I mean? It probably sounds crazy to hear, but we don't look at it like that. We embrace the stuff that comes his way, and we just know that at any given point, somebody can come take his spot. So we got to keep working. You can't be comfortable, with a title.
Mm-hmm. That's all. It also keeps that drive too to, if you don't feel like you're the best, you're going to keep striving to try to, achieve that,
Exactly. Like it's for him in different games, in his mind, he has something to prove. For whatever reason, he has something to prove. So that's what keeps him hungry, and that's what keeps him fighting for yardage and falling forward and all of that kind of stuff, because he feels like he has something to prove. And, I admire that about him, that he isn't comfortable. He hasn't gotten arrogant because of how other people regard him. I guess when he gets to the point, and hopefully he doesn't get to the point to where he feels that he's the best of the best, because, then that arrogance kicks in and you start losing contracts. So we don't want to get to that point.
Right. Keep wanting to use your helmet, right?
Yeah, right.
Let's see. Who was your? Was there a school that you had initially, being in California, was there a USC or like a USC or Pac-12 school, or was there somewhere that you thought was going to be his school of choice, or somewhere you preferred him to go to?
No, so I didn't. So okay, so what we originally thought his school of choice was USC, because that's always been his dream school from day one. Always been his dream school. So this is funny, because so when you asked me, was there any particular school that I wanted him to go to? It was every school that we visited. After that visit, I wanted him to go to that school. That's really how it was. You leave this school and like, man, you know what? You should go there, man. I can see you there. Then the next week you at a school, bro. Hey, bro, I can see. It was that. And then, but thank goodness for Kendall that he's not emotionally driven, and mom isn't emotionally driven. I think I'm more impulsive than everybody. But after we truly sat down and looked at it as a business, then you have to pull the emotion out, and you have to ensure that everything makes sense. But yeah, for me, it was never one particular school. For him, childhood dream was USC.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. On the recruiting trail, did you guys? You kind of alluded to it earlier. That, kind of the authenticity that the Georgia coaches have, the realness kind of thing, and several others as well. Did you guys run across any that you just kind of got man, I don't think we're going to go here kind of vibe from any coaches?
You know what? I won't say so. When you visit a campus, everybody shows you the best. Everybody shows you the best that they have, and it's kind of like when growing up and your family's having company over. You better be on your best behavior. So everybody's on their best behavior. But as you continue to engage with people, as you continue to have casual conversations and such, you start to realize things that are inconsistent. You start to realize contradictory things. So nobody was just totally vile or anything like that. But, the heart of a man can only be hidden for so long. And I think that was one of the blessings of him being recruited early, because it was a lot of time that people had to be in character. And then you really find out who people are when you tell them no.
All right. Right. That's a great point.
Hey, speaking of telling people no, I have a personal question for Mr. Milton.
Okay.
So we have a guy that usually gets on our podcast named Terrell. He's about as big as you.
Okay.
So I've been challenging him to an arm wrestling match, and he keeps ducking me because he's scared of me. So I mean, if I challenge you to an arm wrestling match, I mean, we could make it happen next time you're in Athens.
I'm just letting you know I don't do it for free.
Oh.
We can do it, but I'm not going to do it for free.
There's a lot of
Dre, that's on you, dog.
Hey, we can set it up on. We can live stream it and charge like a pay-per-view.
Hey, however you want to do it, just as long as it hit my PayPal account, we good.
People gonna be mad because it won't last but about 2 seconds.
We could keep looping the replay.
It'd be like
now you really try to embarrass me.
Oh man!
Now, are you guys
I pick on Terrell all the time because he's about twice my size, and he'd kill me.
Hey, and he knows that. That's why he's trying to spare you.
Are you guys originally California residents?
Yes, I am. I'm born and raised in California. Mom is born and she's Midwest. She's all Midwest. Her career brought her to California. So okay. Yeah, I'm a Cali guy.
There you go. And is it true about California? They know how to party?
Man, depending on which part of California you're in. Central California, not so much. Down it, you get down to LA, yeah, you can have a good time down in LA.
Right. I mean, that's what Tupac always said, I mean, Tupac and Dre and in California knows how to party.
You know what? When that song came out, it was a different California too.
Mm-hmm.
It was a different California. Yeah, it was less stuck up Cali then.
How much are you still hearing from coaches and everything? You said you're kind of sick of the recruitment, scenario and everything. Is it still going on? Is it still ongoing? Have you guys kind of tried to shut things down, change phones, whatnot?
I mean, to be completely transparent, there's a couple schools that still reach out, and honestly, as I expect them to. In this game, it's not over until that ink hits the paper. But they do know that we are 100% vested in UGA. They know that we're going. But they're doing exactly what they should do, keep the line of communication open in the event something major happens. And we've been 100% transparent to let them know that unless the whole coaching staff ups and leaves, we're rooted. You know what I mean? And they respect that. And through this, we've met some pretty cool guys, to be completely honest with you. Some that we have mutual friendships with other people and didn't know it or whatever the case may be. So, that's been the extent. Nobody talks football, and honestly, they don't even reach out often, but it's just that, that random text just checking in or whatever the case may be. But no, but we are 100% rooted, flag planted, currently looking for currently looking to purchase a condo in Athens. That's how committed we are.
There you go. Yeah, I saw that was another reply on social media. The flag is planted.
That's right. Had to, because somehow it was a rumor going around. Man, social media is funny.
Trolls.
On Sunday, I watching the Saints game, and I can't even remember who they were playing Sunday night, but watching the Saints game, I was sitting on the couch, and they were announcing the starting lineup, and it seemed like every person was from the Ohio State. I'm like, goodness grief. And so I tweeted, goodness grief, is the whole defense go to Ohio State? I guess what people heard is Kendall's going to Ohio State, because then all of a sudden this chatter started talking about he's flipping, and somebody heard that he's going. I'm like, come on, man, you guys really are that bored? Crazy.
Yes. That is quite a feeling of power, though, to say one little thing and then people just run with it.
I guess. I guess if that's what you want, then that's what you can create, because they sure will make you relevant.
So your brother-in-law, Kevin Hardy, has he had much of a impact on Kendall's athletic career?
You know what Kevin is? Kevin is a very even-keeled, sharp dude. So what Kevin's influence has been is like the business side, the kind of like gaming him up on how to be a responsible athlete, how to keep his brand, maintain his integrity, and have longevity from the business standpoint, if that makes sense. So that's what Kevin has really has been his contribution to Kendall and Kalon, my oldest son, as well. That's really what Uncle Kevin has been. He knows, and obviously, he didn't do much for Kendall because he played on the offensive side of the ball, but my oldest son played defensive back. So when he would go to games and maybe see him tackle or see him break down or pursuit or whatever, obviously the linebacker in him kicks in, and he'll help his nephew. But other than that, that's what Uncle Kevin has been. He's been that consultant for the business side.
Nice.
Hey, the 2020 defensive lineman in Tennessee, Jay Hardy, is he related to Kevin?
No, I don't think so.
I can't remember if he was or not.
Yeah, no, I don't. I would have heard about it. Yeah, I don't think so.
With the, you talk about the process of recruiting and everything. What would be your advice to other parents out there? Maybe not even, not even with a, Power 5 or Division I prospects, for kids. What would be your advice for the recruiting process that you've kind of learned or since, the last, 7-8 years or so?
To 100% take responsibility and ownership of your recruiting. And that's kind of trifold. There's so many recruiting services out there that personally I don't believe in. Take control of your recruiting. Take ownership of your recruiting. The second thing is, I would tell families, as much, as starstruck as you may be because you sit in Nick Saban's office or Kirby Smart's office or Herm Edwards, or any big coach in the country, as starstruck as you are, you have to really check that at the door, because you're interviewing them just as much, if not more, as they're interviewing you. And I think that would be the biggest pieces of information, at least to navigate through the recruiting process. Also, one thing that we really did is kind of like, I won't say necessarily vet the information, but you have to understand that recruiters are ultimately professional salespeople, and what they're telling you, they're likely telling the next recruit in the next city that they're going to talk to. So you have to be able to have a long-term memory, take notes, things that are very important to you, take notes so that you can quote verbatim what was said to you when it's time to, hold the feet to the fire. Those are just some of the things that I would honestly let people know. And when you're going through the recruiting process, you're always being recruited. When you're walking through the mall, when you're in traffic, when you're on social media, when you're on whatever, you're always being recruited. So don't ever think that you're safe, because they find out everything. They ask around the community. They walk into businesses. They ask random people. They're making, in a lot of situations, $250,000 investment in you. And so they're not going to waste any money.
Mm-hmm. Let's see.
Hey, there's a reason they make the money they make, and they're good at what they do.
No, and you're 100% right. You are 100% right, man. And their whole thing is going to be the attrition. They're going to recruit people that are going to be around, right? And they don't want the risk. Who wants to assume the risk of a product that you don't think is going to last? So they rather not have you, even if you have the talent, right?
Mm-hmm. Did Kendall or Kalani did they play other sports post?
Both of them played basketball, and both of them ran track as well.
Okay.
Kendall wrestled too. Kendall actually started wrestling in 4th grade. So funny. He wrestled literally 50% of the time, and his first year wrestling, after wrestling for 5 months, he took 3rd in the nation at Reno World. Then the next year, he won a state and national title in wrestling. Imagine that. So funny. So funny. And of course, and it made people mad, because if you know the wrestling community, like, man, they really do that stuff, right? Wrestling is a culture. It's for real. So here you have this kid who wrestles as a hobby, and just straight athleticism and strength. He's just kicking people's butt. It was quite an experience. It really was.
Man.
We tried to get him to keep wrestling through junior high, and at that point he was like, "Nah, it's for real now. I'm good. I'm done." Yeah, he's like,
hey, people always talk about the rabid college football fans. I'm telling you right now, the ones you better watch out for are the wrestling moms.
Oh my gosh. Oh no, yeah, those moms are hardcore. The wrestling dads are overzealous. The moms are hardcore. The wrestling dads act like they might as well walk around with a singlet on, with the arrogance that they have. But the moms don't play.
Yeah, the moms will hurt you.
They will. Hey, I've seen wrestling moms curse grown men out, and the husband sit back and watch like he better not intervene. I said, I can't do this. I'm good.
Mr. Milton, your home state there has been in the news quite a bit with the in regards to NCAA athletics, with the signing of the allowing student athletes to be able to profit on their likeness. Where do you kind of, I've heard some resistance to it, mostly from the NCAA, but for the most part, I think most people are kind of for it. So where do you kind of, stand on it, and what are kind of your thoughts on the whole proposal?
So I have to preface it with this. As it stands right now, January 1st, 2023 is when it is supposed to be enacted. And I know other states are currently looking at it. So I have to be clear that 9 times out of 10, Kendall won't be impacted by this because if God says the same, he'll be preparing for the draft in 2023 after doing 3 years. However, when you look at these athletes, man, and what they're bringing to the table, the amount of money that they're making for the universities and also for the NCAA, there's a reason why the NCAA is a billion-dollar industry. It's not like they have a product and they have it in your local Target or Walmart to where they can, mark up the price and make money off of. Their product are these kids. And at the end of the day, and I, instead of using the word their likeness, I straight up say their name. They are using these kids' name and making money off of their name. I don't see why it should be a problem for these kids to be able to monetize their own name. Now, what I will say is because they are students and because there are certain other things that could play into effect, such as if you're on a team and so your quarterback or your running back has these endorsements and they're making this money, but you're the lineman that's blocking for them, right? How do you keep the morale within that team to say, well, he's making money and I'm not, but I'm working just as hard every single play? So I do believe that there needs to be a conversation between the NCAA and whoever else is influential in this to set some parameters in place. I feel like the NCAA often puts out rules that are half-baked, which ultimately gets them in trouble, like the transfer portal. Great idea, but the whole concept was completely half-baked, which is why, people end up making a mockery out of it. So I think they definitely need to put something together, really use laser-like focus to figure out all the things that could happen and let these kid families, man. I mean, you have some kids that may not be able to go to the league after college. So you mean to tell me, granted, I got an education, but we're not going to hold that over. I don't. So many people say their argument is, well, the school's giving them a free education and they should just give the money back. Shut up. I don't want to hear that part of it. It's just like when you go to work. When you go to work, you get your base salary. When these kids go to work, they're getting that education. When you're at work and you do better than what you were expected to do, you're able to get a bonus. When these kids do better than what they were expected to do, why can't they get a bonus off of their name? Mm-hmm. That's kind of the way that I break it down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. What about the one? It was like the UFC kicker that had his own YouTube channel and was making money off of it. They made him shut it down. It's like maybe a few years ago now.
Yeah.
Just crazy stuff.
Quit school.
Oh, I didn't even hear about it. It's not surprising, but I didn't even hear about that one.
It's probably been 3 or 4 years now, I bet. But I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah, man. Let these kids create a quality of life for themselves and their families, man. For some families, this is the way out. For some families, this is the one that changes the generations to come. So if I get hurt in college and I can't go, then what? You've made all this money while I'm here. Now I'm stuck? Come on, man. Come on. That's not cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The only thing I was wondering about it is, I mean, again, it goes back to, like the boosters and kind of creating jobs and kind of like it was basically the whole back in, I guess, the 80s or early 90s when Rhett Bomar and a couple of the guys at Oklahoma had jobs at a car dealership, and they never even showed up to work. They ended up going back and looking at like the work logs and stuff. They never would show up, but they still got paid by the dealership. And that's why the NCAA, it's kind of like the NCAA responds to things by, like a fire hose for a putting out the fire in a fireplace or something. It's like,
yeah,
that was the precedent for them to initiate student athletes cannot have a job rule. is basically what initiated that.
Yeah, which is yeah, yeah,
Which any other student can just go and get a job and help support themselves and to be able to afford things, but student athletes aren't allowed to because of that rule, because of the use of that rule, I guess. But that was kind of the only thing I could think of that might be something that really truly needs to be looked at as a part of that. It needs to be somehow, and I don't know how you if people what's the old saying, if you ain't cheating you ain't trying, but people are going to go find rules and find ways around the rules no matter what. But
and that's and yes, you're right. That's going to happen. And here's the thing. So if I'm looking at that, that's unethical. That's just like in my business. If I have employees and I'm padding their time clock for them coming, that's actually a crime. It's time clock fraud. That's actually a crime. So those things I think are completely different from an athlete out there busting their butt, putting in work, extra time in the gym, making sure that they are perfecting their craft, going out truly performing, and someone coming in and say, hey, you know what? I respect what you're doing. I respect your work. I would love to give you X amount of thousands of dollars if you come endorse my clothing. I think those are two totally different type of situations that needs to be considered. And it is like you said, you can't just put an umbrella up and say, nope, you just can't make money in any type of form or fashion. Yeah, right. I don't think that's right, personally.
Right.
Especially when you telling me that I can go bust my butt on a Saturday and I can't make money, but you got your hand out getting a check that I would normally get. Come on now.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's gone on for years. Obviously, I remember Chris Webber at Michigan. He was just in the Final Four or whatever for 2 years in a row, and then I think he was still contemplating whether to go in the draft or stay in school. And he walked by the bookstore and he saw all these Michigan number 4 jerseys basically for sale for like $60, and he's not getting any of it. But they're just saying, "Oh, that's just the number 4 jersey." They're not saying it's Chris Webber, It's like,
right? Yeah,
that's when you decided right then. Yeah, I think we're going to go ahead and declare for the draft.
And if you think about it, if you watch that documentary about the Fab Five, they spoke to that. That's where the Black Sox came from. That was their movement to basically shun the NCAA. It was, they did subtle stuff to shun the NCAA for that reason, for 100% that reason.
Yep. It's going to be interesting. There's going to be, I think that can of worms has been opened. There's no going back now. Like you said, several other states are initiating or looking at this, and
yes,
I think what may happen is I think the federal side may jump in and initiate something before the states do, honestly, and just kind of make it a nationwide thing to start with.
I think.
And I don't know if the NCAA will be able to, work with them on that, but hopefully so. But we'll
the NCAA is going to do whatever it needs to do to protect its profitability. And if they're a for-profit entity, so I get that side of it. Unfortunately, though, it's human labor that's ultimately making them profitable.
Right. All right, Mr. Milton. When is the next trip over to Athens? Is it going to be? What do you?
I think right now we are looking at so I don't know if we'll hit Athens, but definitely I think that isn't the SEC championship in Atlanta or something like that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we'll be in Georgia for that. And then the next trip to Athens probably won't be until January to drop Kendall off.
Okay. So he is an early enrollee?
Yes, he's an early enrollee. He'll finish class in December. And mentally, Kendall's already out of high school. He is so ready to go. Just ready to go. He's taking care of the formalities in his mind.
Right. Good deal.
Is he doing one of the? Is he doing one of the All-Star games?
Yes, he's doing the what used to be the Army All-Star game in San Antonio. Yes, he'll be down there for that.
So it'll. I know the dates used to coincide where some of the kids would basically just go straight from there and just come on to Athens.
Yeah, so I think the way it'll all work out is, so we're already going to say that Georgia play for a national championship, so he'll have an opportunity to, I think, practice for a bowl game, or for that game, he'll be able to practice with the team, leave, go play in the All-American game, and then, yes, go straight to Athens. So I think that's perfect world. That's how it'll go.
That's incredible. And before we let you go, what is his intended major right now? What's he leaning towards?
Business with a emphasis on entrepreneurship. He's a car fanatic. He's been that way since he could talk. So he has aspirations of opening car dealerships, more like an auto mall kind of a thing. That's what he ultimately wants to do.
Okay. Awesome, man. That is fantastic. Well, Mr. Milton, this has been a true pleasure getting to talk with you and kind of getting to know you a little better, even actually hearing you talk instead of seeing the typing on 240 characters or whatever it is. And like I said, we are looking forward to not only Kendall, but the entire Milton family, becoming a part of the Dog Nation and everything. Like you said, you kind of noticed it. It's a big family. It really is.
Yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing for real. Yeah.
Good deal. Let everybody know what your if they're not already following you, if they're hearing you here, wanting to see you get to know you a little more on social media. What is your Twitter handle for everybody to check you out?
My Twitter handle is Father of Ballers. Just Father of Ballers, man. That's it. I was blessed to have two footballers, and I'm just the father of ballers. That's
fantastic. That is awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us, and we will have this posted. We'll tag you on the when we get this posted up, and let you share it and let everybody check it out and hear from you more.
Hey, Dre, that's funny. That's what Terrell called me when I beat him in arm wrestling.
Oh my goodness.
Pay-per-view.
Hey, don't be surprised if I hold you to it.
Hey,
don't be doing all that now.
Hey, he's waiting for that wire
that is going down.
Hey, don't be doing all that. I'm just talking crap over the phone. Don't hold me to
it. No promise. That's all I can
say. Go Dogs.
Jason's not a keyboard warrior. He's a phone warrior.
Don't keep me away from the games in Athens. I wouldn't be able to go back to a game.
Oh man.
Appreciate it, Mr. Milton, so much, and go Dogs.
Go Dogs. We appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye. That was Chris Milton, father of Kendall and Kalani, and Kendall will be coming to Athens here in 2020, class of 2020. Man, it's that was fun, dude. We had some technical issues on the other side, but we made it happen, and it was well worth it. Getting to talk with him for a bit. So with that, I think we're going to wrap it up, and we may try to get another little bit of podcast in. We're going to have this replay posted up as soon as we can with the interview with Mr. Milton, and then we may try to put the two together come maybe Friday, possibly. So keep your eyes open on Twitter and Facebook and everything on social media at Field Street Forum, at Field ST Forum. So yeah, Dustin, any final thoughts or anything?
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs. See you.